Roxies and Proxies, it's your boy Josh, and welcome to the drip marketing overview of ZZZ 3.2. As you guys can see, Flint Workshop is dropping onto the scene. Claret is here and Roxy is going to be following suit. I'm very excited. Oh my goodness. Our first, well, to be honest, she isn't as tsundere as I thought she'd be in her introduction with the 3.1 story quest, but I guess that's a little bit more TBD. Yet, Claret, I almost thought her last name was Rascala for a second. No, Claret Flint, because it's Flint Workshop, duh, Josh, is going to be coming to us as a new unit. I'm not just talking about just her as a new unit. She is going to be introducing a whole new class. That's right. If you guys can see with the description over there, there's a new class archetype. Well, of course, electric, which is the elemental class, is nothing new. We'll talk about that in a bit. But with that new icon there, we are getting the new armored class. Now, without spoiling and or getting into too many beta leaks, this particular class is going to be based off of defense. We already know this, in particular with the corresponding drive disc of Thorn Rose, as this gave us one of the biggest hints that we are getting either a revamp to the defense class or just getting a new class in its entirety. As you guys can see with the Thorn Rose, the Equipter's damage is increased by 15%. You get defense, as well as there is some scalable percentage increase when it comes to corresponding with their crit rate. So it is yet to be determined how much crit rate you're going to want and or need for the characters, but we can assume that defense and crit rate are going to be the #1 priority scaling stats for this new armored class. Now, outside of the large and in charge new class in and of itself, Claret's design is just absolutely gorgeous. She has a lot of, very like gothic bat themes. So don't know if she's in particularly a firing at all. I'm not terribly sure, but one character that comes to mind very easily is Maki, I think. Maka, right? From Soul Eater. And oh my goodness, like, oh, it's just it screams childhood, bro. Like, Soul Eater was one of my favorites. I know not a lot of people like the Soul Eater anime, but it was very near and dear to my heart. And yeah, she's screaming Maka. And well, I mean, kind of Ruby, but not really. I would say she's screaming Maka more than Ruby. And of course, you can't forget about Zenless Zone Zero's proclivity for making absolutely peak tights. And yeah, just the outfit in general is serving. It's absolutely gorgeous. But one thing that I'm slightly teensy bit sad about is that Claret is electric, which I'm not terribly that confident in. I don't really know how she even screams electric. There's nothing really electric about her design, which again, subverting expectations is perfectly fine. However, when it comes to the electric class, it already has some very niche specific characters that revolve itself around the attacker class specifically. So hoping here that Claret either has some interactions with attack or, is able to utilize some of the current electric stunners that are amongst the cast, or maybe she might even require some other units entirely. Again, we're not terribly sure because even though she is electric, that armored class seems to be pretty prominent into what kind of bonuses and buffs that she is going to want or desire amongst some of the other stats that some of the other characters can bring of the current cast. And as you guys can see, I'm like currently refreshing my page. I have a ton of Genshin here, but I'm refreshing my page constantly because we're just waiting on Roxy. I'm just where's Roxy? Please, Roxy, where are you, honey? But folks, before we wrap up this video and potentially look at Roxy in just a little bit, I don't know if we're going to be able to get to it tonight and or maybe this just drip marketed tomorrow. But one thing that I really wanted to kind of go through is the potential of this new armor class. Now, we did mention its relevance to defense and or defense scaling, However, one thing that we haven't subsequently talked about is the matter of fact of how we're going to be able to buff defense. There's just no defense buffer in the game right now, with the exception of Rena, who just got reworked. Now, this is where they make the comeback. That's right. The defense class is going to be buffing defense or armored units. This is gonna be exciting. I hope this finally brings at least some relevance to the class. And again, yes, just because we only have one of these new class units doesn't mean that we aren't going to extrapolate upon this class and build out the entire ecosystem around these defensive units. So what I'm very, very hopeful for is that down the line, you know, past the main Rascala for, I guess, units, because I don't foresee Roxy buffing her. I don't foresee Storyteller or, you know, whoever becoming a buffer for Claret. If anything, maybe Storyteller and or Phoenix could be a secondary armored unit or whatever, you know, of this class, right? Very, very curious to see how we re-engineer the defense class to potentially become buffers for this new defense-oriented class. So the defense buffing the defense of the armor class. What a sentence, huh? But yes, it does bring up a whole new, you know, branch of scaled offense within Zenless Zone Zero. And even though that does sound exciting, yes, and to me it still is very exciting, it does come with a little bit of trepidation. Right, it does come a little bit of skepticism, just because we are coming off of just already getting 2 new elemental classes with Wind and Lumaflux. Now, understand that Lumaflux is very special. I don't think we're going to be getting any Lumaflux characters or any Lumaflux characters for the foreseeable future. Even Sunbringer, I don't even think is Lumaflux. When it comes to this new class in and of itself, I think we are going to get a much more diverse amount of these units in the class. We're going to get much more Wind units when it comes to Lumaflux. Remiel, again, is that of a special case. So I wouldn't say she's, you know, removed from the narrative or the conversation that we are just getting so many new things in Zenless, just because, again, it is a lot, especially from back to back to back patches. We aren't getting enough resources, enough free resources to be able to compensate for this. Yes, there is the monthly shop in which you're going to be able to pay, you know, the pull, the signal currencies, and then transfer that into whatever your seals and whatever you need to build. But that's somewhat separate from potential events that actually provide resources to build these new chips for Lumaflux or the seals for armor. So very, very curious. Hopefully we find some ways within the new patch to be able to supplement new and returning players with some of these resources, because again, getting 3 new different archetypes in the span of what, like 4-ish months is pretty jarring. It's pretty jarring. The pace is moving extremely quick, a little bit, you know, arguably too quick, and it's something that needs to be monitored for sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is a little bit off-brand for what Hoyoverse is generally known for, introducing at least 1 new class or element within the year. They've already introduced 3, something of a slight concern, but hey, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you guys can stay up to date with how to navigate the current climate of Zenless Zone Zero, as well as some other tips, tricks, and other fun videos that we got planned for you guys. And with that, folks, this is our small little recap for Claret Flint. I'm going to be going through more Labyrinth content with you guys here on the channel, as well as some other early access guide and content, variety game shows galore and whatnot. So make sure to stay tapped in and subscribe as we close in on 40K subscribers. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys in the next one.